yo, welcome back to another episode of Texas on the Ground. I am your host, JVaz, and as always, make sure you follow us on all the social media pages at the JVaz Show. This show is brought to you by La Conecta. Make sure you check them out at shoplaconecta.com. They got, you might have seen this, Concrete was reading this book, so it's actually a pretty cool little book they got. They got air fresheners with different characters. They got Vicente Fernandez and all kinds of other cool characters. They got the hats. License plates, all kinds of, cool creative stuff. Make sure you check them out at shoplaconecta.com. This show is also brought to you by GT Digital Distribution. If you're an independent artist looking to take your music to the next level, make sure you check them out and hit them up at www.gtdigitaldistribution.com, and they will help you take your music there. Joining us today, this is exciting for me. This is very exciting on a personal level, regardless, not to say I don't care about y'all, but for me, I really, I'm excited about this because, growing up, I was a big fan of Dope House and everything that had to do with Dope House, anything that had to do with Salty Water and Shut 'Em Down. So anything that had to do with those guys, I loved. You know what I mean? And every artist, I made a promise to myself when I first started podcasting that I was going to interview every artist I grew up listening to. Oh, wow. And you're probably one of the last four that I have to do that, and it'll be exciting to talk about history and everything else you got going on. Joining me today, she is a legend, you guys. She is one of the first female artists that I got tuned into when it came to hip hop, when it came to rap. The beautiful, the lovely, you see her on your screen, Powda. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be here. Finally.
Thank you for making time. Like seriously, you're one of those artists that. I was like, man, I have everybody from Dope House for Powda, Rashid, and Low G.
You know what I'm saying? Haven't got Rashid and Low G?
I haven't had Rashid and Low G.
What?
I know. And you know what I'm saying? Obviously, you're not with Dope House no more, but I'm saying, like, at that era, whenever I got tuned into y'all, so it was important for me to get all those artists. And Juan Gotti is another artist that I haven't gotten.
Okay, all my boys. I gotta help you out with that. I gotta get them on here.
That'll be hella dope, because, again, it's a lot of history that needs to be told, because around this time there wasn't, we didn't have the YouTubes, we didn't have social media like that. It was probably early MySpace stages.
Yes.
And there wasn't too much going on when it came to MySpace. But, well, first, welcome back to the industry.
Thank you.
I don't know how much you missed it, but how much did you miss it, if any?
I missed parts of it, but I didn't know it had changed so much.
Yeah?
I didn't know until I got back in it, and now I'm just like, what happened?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's a completely different...
It's a whole different industry.
So let me ask you this. Before we start talking about history, can you move the mic a little bit closer to see? Before we start talking about history, were you, like, up to date with what was happening in the industry, or did you have a complete disconnect?
Oh, complete disconnect. I was literally a stay-at-home mom. I had 2 kids. I worked from home with my kids. Like, I was just home all day. My playlist consists of Coco Melon and Disney Princess. Yeah. I'm not even kidding. Like, total disconnect. Yeah. Had no clue who was doing what, nothing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's
totally off the grid.
Yeah, it's crazy, but I guess whenever I took my break from the whole podcast and stuff, I was listening to a lot of John Mayer. It had nothing to do with hip hop, so I can see it. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't get to listen to anything. All I do is just listen to what my kids want to listen
whatever
to.
Whatever they want to watch.
I watch Disney all day long. That's it.
Man, so we'll talk about that here in a second. We'll get more into that. But let's talk about history. Let's take it all the way back. Powda. When I first saw the name of Powda, this was in the Salty Water Records time.
Yeah.
Was there a Powda before Salty Water? And how exactly did that Salty Water connection come about?
Yeah, no, there was no Powder. There was no even aspiration to be a rapper. I was not like out here like I'm rapping and I'm gonna find somewhere to go. That was not how it went. Yeah. Like I actually was a dancer. I used to do backup dancing and videos. You'll see me in some Dope House old school videos dancing, and I used to dance for Johnny Z. Drop them Johnny's baby. Yeah, I used to do backup dance for him. So I was just dancing like I didn't care about, I always played piano. I always liked to sing and stuff like that, but I wasn't out here trying to rap or trying to even be in the music industry. I just happened to fall into the studio with a friend of mine that took me to the Salty Water studio. She was friends with them and we just went to hang out. Yeah. And they were like doing all kinds of stuff, making beats, and somebody was recording and somebody was over here doing business. And I remember just getting on the piano and playing because I do play piano. So I was just playing with Chuck Stilley, and he was recording a song.
Stilley.
Yeah, Chuck Stilley, my boy. Shout out Chuck Stilley. He was making a beat, and I started kind of playing around, and they then it went into singing. And I guess Pancho V just saw something in me, and he just kind of kept on, like he kept calling me and calling me and calling me and just talking to me for hours. And now I see what he was doing. I didn't know what he was doing then, but now I see he was just trying to get a feel for who I was and to see if I was the right fit.
Yeah.
And eventually, asked me to come on board and was like, look, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, and just kind of like set it all up for me. And I was like, okay, I'll try.
Was it a contract? Was there a contract involved?
Yes.
And the reason I asked because I've had, for example, I had Carolyn, and I believe when she was with Dope House, there was no contract. It was more of, I'm a Dope House member, you're a Dope House member, boom, make it happen. But was there a contract involved with you?
There's been a contract involved with me everywhere I've went.
Yeah.
So they always locking me down. I don't know. There was 2 contracts with Salty Water and then one with Dope House.
Yeah. 2 contracts, like what? Like one expired and then the next one kicked in?
Well, I signed the first one before I was legal. Like I wasn't even 18 yet. So
gotcha.
it really didn't mean anything. And it was, I should have had a guardian sign it, and there was no guardian signing it. So then whenever I turned 18, he had me sign another one.
Yeah. What was the first song you recorded at Salty Water?
First song I recorded was a song called Muévele with Chuck Stilley. That was the first song.
Chuck Stilley did have that Latin flavor on his stuff.
Muévele, muévele, muévele. Yeah. Me and Chuck Stilley, that was actually the first song I recorded there. Yeah.
Yeah. So for how many years were you under Salty Water?
I don't really know. I want to say maybe like 2 or 3. I didn't like.
So it was actually a short run.
Yeah, it wasn't that long. It felt like forever because it just blew up so fast.
Yeah.
I would say maybe max 3.
Yeah. Speaking of blowing up so fast, like what was it? Nasty Girl? Was that the one that blew up?
Yes.
Was that the one that did it?
Yes.
What was that like?
Oh my gosh, insane. Like people don't understand what radio play was back then. Because radio play doesn't really matter anymore like it used to, Back then it was everything. It was the only way people got to hear anything, Selling CDs is the only way you got music. It's just different now. It was everything. I mean, it went from 0 to 100 like overnight.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
That had to be real crazy because, like you said, a lot of people don't understand the grind now. It's a lot easier now. You know what I mean? To just upload your music and it goes viral on TikTok and boom, it's nothing new.
Yeah.
But for back then, it took a lot of work unless you just had that record that they were playing at the clubs and whatnot. I haven't been to a club in a long time. I don't know how that works anymore. So being in Salty Water, I really thought it was a longer run. I didn't realize it was only 2-3 years. It felt, like you said, it felt like a lot longer than that. You were supposed to work on a project there. And one thing about back in the days, when you would buy the CDs, you would open up the booklets and they would have coming soon. 10 years later, none of them came out.
Yeah.
And I say that because Highly Addicted was one of the projects that was supposed to be released on the Salty Water.
Yes.
What happened with that project?
Well, I left before it even got started.
Oh, so it
never really got started.
Oh, okay.
I left. I want to say, let's see. Lifestyle was putting out their second album or third, and we were just about to start working on mine, and that's when I left.
Yeah. Well, did you have a vision for it at all, or it was just really early stages?
It was really early stages. Like I had just done Take It Off right before I left.
Yeah.
Like, and we were about to push that with the Lone Star Rider album. And that was going to be the next biggest thing. So we weren't even really focused on Highly Addictive at that moment.
Gotcha. So it was just early talks of the whole thing. This is off the record.
Yeah.
But I forgot to ask you this. Can I ask you why you left Salty Water?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, I'm not keeping it a secret.
Okay,
I'll tell you.
I just wanted to make sure, like, so I'll ask you that, but
because I know everybody's really curious. Number one thing that a lot of people don't understand is that everything that I did with Salty Water, all those hits that I did, I never got paid for. I never got a dime, like not 1 penny for any of it. So that was like the number one thing. I never got paid. Number two, I got in a personal relationship with Pancho V. We were together, and it was not a good relationship. It was an abusive relationship, and that made me leave. That was kind of like the last step for me, like or I guess like, what do you call it? Like, that's where I drew the line.
Yeah.
So that was it. I tolerated it for a little bit, and then I was like, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore. So then I left. And when we broke up, and the way it was just like, it was such a messy breakup and everything, I just couldn't see myself going back.
Yeah.
So that's why I left.
Okay. So again, this time we didn't really have that many information on stuff, right?
Yeah.
You leave. I guess I'll tell you what we thought happened was Dope House just picked you up, and it was kind of like,
No.
but you leave Salty Water.
Yeah.
And how soon after did you join Dope House, or what was that like? Because there is a video on YouTube where Pancho wasn't happy about, about the whole situation.
No, he wasn't. It did happen really fast. I'm not gonna lie. But I saw it at that time. I saw it as a blessing, because I was like, I was devastated when I left. I didn't know what I was gonna do. It was ugly. Like, I'm not gonna get into all the ugly details, but it was like the ugliest breakup I've ever had. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, when there was a light at the end of the tunnel, which was Dope House. I've always been real cool with SPM, and I told him what happened, and he was like, well, of course you can come over here. It was like nothing to him. So yeah, it was very quick. Like, I would say within like 2 months, I was already with Dope House.
Yeah. And you said something earlier that kind of puts, I don't even know what to call it. I'm just going to get straight to it.
Okay.
We ain't going to beat around the bush.
Keep it real.
So, yeah. So
I like it.
You mentioned you were there for 2.5, 3 years and you never got paid a dime.
Never got paid a dime. Well, I got paid when it was powder shows, but for like lifestyle shows and anything that was on the radio, like any CDs, nothing sold, I got nothing.
What was the reason behind that, according to them?
Well, I was told over and over again that I was paying my dues. I was paying my dues. And I was told a lot that, I was told some really fucked up shit. Like, now that I look back on it, I was told that, we made you. We gave you your name. We made you who you are. You wouldn't be who you are if it wasn't for us. Like, you're here. You're only here because of us. Like, you're lucky to be here type shit, Yeah.
So it's kind of like the gaslighting they call nowadays.
Well, and I was so young. People don't realize, like, I was like 17, 18. I was a young girl. So, and very, impressionable, and had no guidance from like my parents. They didn't give a shit what I was doing. They weren't paying attention to me. So I was just very like, okay, I thought that was true. I did.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, I got to pay my dues. I got to put in this work. I didn't realize that I was starting off on the top. I was already starting on the top, but they told me you got to work your way up here, even though I was already there.
Making it seem as if you're no big deal. We are the,
Yes, we're it. You're lucky to be here is kind of how they made me feel.
Man, that's.
And I don't want to say they, because it wasn't really Tommy. It was mostly Pancho. Pancho was the one that he was the decider in who got paid. You know?
Man, that's rough.
Yeah.
That's rough. So you leave them, you go into Dope House. What was that like? Was there also a contract? Did you finally get paid going to Dope House, or what happened?
Yes, and it was like night and day. I was so grateful to go to Dope House because like they offered me a signing bonus. So that was like money up front, and I didn't even have to do anything. And I was like, damn, that's what's up. Like, I'm over here. I got hits for days over here, and I ain't getting shit. And I haven't done anything for them, and they're willing to pay me. So it just kind of showed me like what I was really worth. And they really, like, Carlos really instilled that into me. Like, you are worth something. You are a star. Like, I'm going to treat you like what you're worth. And he did.
Yeah. I think, hold on, let me put my brain together here, see if I can remember, but I probably can't remember. So I'm just going to ask you, what was the first song that you recorded when you went into Dope House? It wasn't I Need a Sweet, right? That seemed like.
It might be. I can't remember. I want to say
because you popped up on the Reveille Park cover.
It might have been I Need a Sweet. It might have been. I smoke a lot of weed, so my memory's fucked up. I try to remember things.
Speaking of needing a sweet.
Right, I do. It's hard for me to, like, in my mind, I think blocked a lot of that time out. But I think it was I Need a Sweet.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I said, I remember you popped up on the Dope House cover on the Reveille Park with SPM.
Yeah.
And then track number 15 or whatever it was, I Need a Sweet, which was probably, again, I might ask you this question later on, but it was cool because as a guy, especially at the time being younger, it was one of the things when people would be like, so-and-so likes you. Oh, no, it's a girl. You know what I'm saying? Like, you would listen to a lot of female artists, and when it came to to yourself, I think it was you and Pimpstress. Pimpstress. I hope I'm saying the name right. It was cool to see you guys on projects, and then when we saw you on I Need a Sweet, it was you, SPM, and Bash.
Yeah.
That's a dope ass track. Another thing when it comes to Dope House, there was a project, Angel Dust, that was promoted, that was supposed to come out under Dope House. What happened with that project? The same thing that happened with Salty Water, or
No.
what happened with that one?
No. So what happened with Dope House is, number one, I want to kind of touch back on I Need a Sweet real quick. Because when I left Salty Water, everybody saw Pancho was very public about not being happy about it,
Correct.
right? So when I Need a Sweet came out, we were pushing that to the radio stations because it was me, SPM, and Bash. I mean, it should have been huge. So we're pushing it to the radio stations. Well, I found out later on that Pancho was going to the radio stations telling them that I was still under contract with him and that they could not play anything without his permission or else he would sue them. So I Need a Sweet. Yeah. I Need a Sweet was like, everybody was scared to play it. Nobody wanted to play it because they're like, we don't know what's going on with this Salty Water Dope House thing with Powder. Like, we don't want to do anything wrong.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't play it. So then Carlos got me a lawyer and he was trying to get me out of that deal for the longest. And Salty Water just wouldn't respond. They just went silent on me and just would not respond to the lawyer. So the lawyer told me after a certain time the contract was null and void. So then we kind of just proceeded with the album. As you know, while I was recording the album, SPM got locked up.
Yeah.
So after a while, they were spending a lot of money on appeals trying to get him out. And after a while, they had spent so much money on appeal after appeal after appeal, they kind of just let us know, like me and the rest of the artists, like, look, we don't have the money to put out your album right now. Either you can stick around and see if things get better, if it picks up, or we'll just let you out of the contract. And so I just decided to be let out of the contract.
Yeah. What happened after that when you left Dope House? Was this? Did you disappear right after that? Or was it more like still trying to make music,
I did kind of disappear right after that. That album, I understood that they had the rights to it, so I kind of just like let it go. And I did immediately switch my focus to trying to get a real job because here I am, now I'm in my 20s. And I have no skills. I have no education. I dropped out of high school because I was on the radio. I thought I don't need fucking school. Fuck school. Like I left and I was like, I'm going to be a star. You're young. You don't realize. So I had no education, no college, no nothing. And I'm like, I need a way to make money because, I want things in life.
Yeah.
So I just switched my focus to getting a real job. And that's what I did. And I kind of just like honed in on, I'm going to make something of myself.
Yeah.
And I started from the bottom at this business and I worked my way up to the very top and just made a career for myself so that I could have things and live like,
It's crazy how quick life changes, right? Like we really think we're on top of the world and then you get slapped, what I'm saying? And with everything in life, not just, career choices and whatnot, just
everybody got locked up.
Yeah.
Salty Water got locked up. Carlos got locked up. I had gotten screwed over twice. I was just done.
Yeah. So to go back to Angel Dust, so you were already done with the project?
I had 20 plus songs on that project. Like I had just recorded an insane amount of songs for that project. I had everybody from Dope House on something. So it was a dope project. So then I would say a few years later, like maybe, I don't know, 5 or 6 years later, I got the itch again and I wanted to get back in it. And so I hit them up and asked them like, hey, is there any way I can get some of those songs if y'all aren't doing anything with them? And they told me that it was lost. They said it was on a computer that, that the drive was lost, but that's what I'm thinking. But recently I kind of heard different, that it is still around. So I don't know. Who knows?
And that sucks because there's so many projects that, I've talked to Coast, Quota Key, all been with Dope House.
Yeah.
That they had projects that had never seen the light.
Yeah.
And, for example, Twin Berettas 2, Coast says he has it. And we'll never get to hear it. And as fans, that sucks.
Yeah.
Because you guys played such a big part in our cultures, in our lives.
Yes.
Because, again, and any of my friends that I grew up listening to, if you guys please leave a comment so they know I'm not lying. But anytime we would see, Powda, Lucky, Coast, even if it was on an artist that we knew nothing about, we would buy their project. Even if it was one song.
Yeah.
We didn't have iTunes. We couldn't just buy one song.
Right.
So to know there was a whole 20-track project that we're never going to hear.
We may be able to hear it. I don't know, because I did have one of the old Dope House producers tell me that he is in possession of some of the tracks.
So there's hope.
There is hope.
There is hope. Okay.
Yes, there's hope. I'm crossing my fingers, man.
So obviously you say you were under contract with Dope House when SPM goes to jail. They break the news to you guys that, hey, this is going to take a while. We're losing money.
Yeah.
You say you changed your focus.
Yes.
But at the moment this is happening, I'm assuming it had to be kind of like a breathtaking moment, right? Because it felt like at this time, Dope House was at its peaks, and you had artists like yourself, Baby Bash, that was kind of like, we knew you guys were going to be a big part of Dope House.
Yeah.
And then that gets taken away.
Yeah.
Outside of you having to refocus on something else, what was that like? Like, what was the energy in the room when this happened?
For me, it was devastating. It was devastating. I didn't want. It killed me to not be able to give the fans that album that they had been waiting for.
Yeah. That
I had worked so hard on. I put so many hours into. Me and Payne. Shout out to Jaime, man. He worked so hard on that album with me, and it sucked. It did. But I think I was so in survival mode. I had no place to live. Like, I had nothing.
Yeah.
Dope House had given me a car and a cell phone. Like, that's how much I was living off of that, you know? And I had nothing at that time. So I think I was so in survival mode that I didn't really even take time to process.
Have to figure it out. Yeah, I have to figure it out now.
Yeah.
The time that you spent at Dope House, the time you spent at Salty Water, what looking back at it now, what was like the most memorable studio session or moment being under these labels?
I have to say the most memorable was probably Make It Hot. Make It Hot for me was like a big one, because I feel like that was like the moment that I kind of like solidified myself as like, okay, I am an artist that can bring it. I can do a track, like I can headline this track, do the hook, do the verses, and like kill it myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was like really the first track that I did all of that on. So Make It Hot was really memorable for me, and it was a Happy P beat, and Happy P was like,
that's how happy
shit back. Well, he still is.
Still in the charge.
Yeah,
and shit. Yeah.
But back then, like if you had a Happy P beat, you had a hit. You know, and Take It Off too was pretty memorable. Take It Off was pretty memorable.
Take It Off, yeah,
for sure. And I would say probably, I know Bash was already kind of with Universal at this time, but doing Menage a Trois with Bash.
Yeah, you were featured on that project,
with
Smoke and Nephew project. Yeah,
with him and Frankie J. That was very memorable for me. And
what kind of feedback did you get on that track? Speaking of,
really, I don't think he pushed it hard enough. I told him that last night when I saw him. I was like, man, that was a hit. You tripping? Like, what you do with that? I don't think they pushed it hard enough, but everybody liked it.
Yeah,
everybody loved it.
Yeah, especially working with Baby Bash. He's from he stays in Houston. So, but I think at the time, Frankie J was
huge.
Prime. You know what I mean? At his prime. So I think that, again, as a fan, it was huge to see Frankie on project with Baby Bash. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they had their relationship, but we didn't know that. Yeah. It was just kind of cool to see that happen. Fast forward to now, at the time and now, seeing the impact you've had in the industry, how does it feel knowing that you have not just a female, but a male following that actually enjoy your music?
It is crazy. I have had several guys hit me up on social media and tell me that I inspire them. And I just,
that's dope.
That blows my mind. Like, how do I inspire a man? But I had a guy tell me that listening to my raps gave him confidence. Yeah. That's amazing to me. Yeah. That blows my mind. It feels great, and it's very validating.
Speaking of that, at what moment was it that you realized you had made an impact in the industry?
December 2022. December 2022, when I got the Legend Award from SLM.
Yeah.
They shout out to SLM, Dontino, my boy Henry, or Vogue, they hit me up and offered me a legend award from SLM. And I was like, I ain't no legend, boy, please. Like, no. And he is like, Powder, are you kidding me? Like, he had to break it down for me and explain to me why I was a legend. Like, I didn't see that. You know, you don't look at yourself like that. But that was when.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy because as a fan, that's like, how do you not know? Like, you know what I mean? It's
You just don't.
yeah. Well, I guess because as yourself, you just like, I just like music. I'm doing music. It's really not that big of a deal. But then as a fan, it's like, but you've done so much. Like as I mentioned earlier, you as an artist and have meant so much to our culture because we weren't, especially at the time, we weren't used to having Hispanic artists doing their thing like that in hip hop.
Yeah.
Like it was new to us. Like it's a female Hispanic artist.
Yeah.
She's getting radio play.
I know.
At the club. Like it's yeah, like
maybe it's because that's the way I came in the game that I didn't really see it for what it was. Like maybe if I had tried, like maybe if I had paid some dues, look, Salty Water, like you ain't pay no dues. Maybe if I had paid more dues, like, you know what I mean? Like had to struggle longer, maybe I would have seen it that way, but I didn't see it that way. I didn't realize what it was.
Yeah. So speaking of Salty Water, you just mentioned them. What was it like? Not even what was it like? What's the feeling now knowing that you were part of two major labels at the time, you know, Salty Water, Dope House, as you mentioned, you know, early stages of the album with Salty Water, you actually recorded 20 plus songs for Dope House.
Yeah.
But we never got a project. Looking at it now, how does that make you feel knowing that these were two established companies in Texas
Yeah.
and never released anything?
It's very sad. It's just very sad. You know, a lot of my time and effort went into the Dope House album, not so much in the Salty Water album, but I did give Salty Water so much of my time and effort and so many hits. And it just sucks. It really does that neither one of them worked out. But that is part of the reason why I was just so done. That's why I retired. I was like, this obviously is not for me.
Yeah.
You know, everywhere I'm going, it's not working out. And now I'm just kind of seeing that God was like, this is not the right situation. It may have started off as the right one, but it went wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's like, okay, this is not for you. Move around. Okay, this is not for you. Move around. And that's just kind of what kept happening. And I just got so frustrated. I was like, okay, the music business is not for me because I'm not able to make it. Like, I'm not able to be profitable. I'm not able to release an album. Like, this is just not my cup of tea. And I thought it's just time to move on.
Yeah.
You know,
It's, again, I hate when that happens because that's, you know, I've been podcasting for 7 years and there's been times when I feel like that, where it's like, maybe this isn't for me. Thankfully, every time that I've made a decision, as far as I'm walking away from it, something happens that brings me back in. Like this time around, I legit went and got, I've said this in other podcasts, I don't know which one's going to come out first, but I had made up my mind that, you know what? I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done with podcasting. I gave it a shot 6.5 years later. Let me just get me a real job.
Yeah.
And give my energy to that and then just make sure I'm comfortable and whatever. So for like 3 months, I went without really posting on social media. Well, Facebook, I'm a clown on Facebook. But on Instagram, I stopped posting and slowly started to disappear. And then here comes GT Garza. Hey, bro, we should start a podcast. And it's like, I don't think I want to pay. He's like, just be my co-host. I'm like, okay, I'll do that. We recorded a couple episodes, and then eventually he's like, hey, I've been talking to GT. Let's bring your podcast back. And I was like, I legit just started a job this week.
Right.
He's like, where? I was like, bro, I'm in Giddings. It's like 2 hours away.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, and then he's like, oh, so what do you want to do? I said, you know what? I said, I'll start it. So I legit took my lunch break, went to HR. I said, this ain't for me. Three days in, and they're like, what can we do to make it stay? I was like, oh, it ain't y'all. It's just, this is not me. I'm so used to doing the whole thing that, you know. So obviously I didn't explain to them that, I'll have this whole other thing. It was kind of like, man, whatever. But I hate when that happens, when you start doubting yourself, not just because of what you're going through, but it's not even your fault. Like, for example, with you, it wasn't your fault this albums weren't being put out. You were putting in the work. But other people making the decisions, and then obviously, you know, the SPM thing kind of ruined everything for Dope House.
Yeah.
So you disappear.
I
You
disappeared.
completely disappeared from
No
us.
social media, no nothing.
That was crazy for
Yeah.
me because, again, like I told you, 7 years ago, well, 6 years ago when I started doing the interviews, I'm on the internet looking for everybody and their mama. Like, who can I find? Oh, there goes Shadow. Let me hit up Shadow. Boom. Let me
Yeah,
hit
I
up
did none of
Coach.
that.
I looked for you and I was like,
Nothing.
damn, there's no Powder. She got to have a Facebook.
I'll
Nope.
be honest with you. I am not a fan of social media.
Yeah?
I don't like it. Like
Why?
I just I don't know. That's not me.
Yeah.
Like I don't like to be glued to my phone. I don't like to feel like I have to be glued to my phone. I don't like to feel like I can't be in a moment because I have to record it.
Yeah.
I'm from a different era. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like we didn't put our business out there like that, like how people do now.
It's like back then, the less people knew about you, the
better. Yes. And that's who I really am. So this whole change is very hard for me. Like you don't see me on a lot of lives
Yeah.
doing that kind of stuff. It's like I have to force
But it's
myself
been
to
cool.
do
It's been
it.
cool to see you pop up more now. Like, you sound like, oh, there goes Powder.
Yeah.
Like, hopefully we start seeing more Powder. I mean, last night I was watching KP on her live. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And you popped up to her music video and it was like, there goes Powder. Like, this is
Yeah.
cool. Last Saturday, you had the music video, what's it called?
The premiere.
The premiere for the music video.
Yeah.
And stuff like that is cool. But let's get a little more, I don't know how personal you can be, but what did you start to do when you disappeared? Like, obviously you say you started a real job.
Yes.
Started a family.
Got married.
What
had
was
two
the hardest
kids.
part to getting away from the industry and going into life?
Just being normal, you know, feeling inside that I wasn't, but having to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I knew that there was something in me that was special and that I needed to share, but I had to push it down and I just had to it was hard. It was like
Yeah.
I was always at odds with myself. I felt like I was always in a battle. Like I was trying to make myself be something that I really wasn't.
It's like you were settling.
Yes. But I ain't gonna lie, some of the basic bitch shit I really enjoyed. I did.
For example?
Like just, like the little things like I don't know, girls' nights and, hanging out with friends and like having wine after work, like all the just basic bitch shit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I can't even think of everything right now, but like just what normal people do. I
Yeah.
spent my entire 20 years of my life trying not to be normal. I knew I wasn't and I just didn't want to be. And then once I got a chance to kind of just relax and be normal, it was nice.
Yeah.
It was nice.
I can relate to that.
But then it was a struggle. I didn't feel like I was miserable.
Yeah. Because again, you're settling.
Yeah.
You're settling for, and man, like, I know for myself, I always think of life like that. I'm like, I wish I was normal.
Yeah.
I wish I didn't have to be somewhere certain days of the week. I wish I could just be with my family.
Yeah.
And then once I started to kind of put this to a side more, and like you say, you start enjoying like Friday, make plans with my brother-in-laws and my nephews. We're gonna go
Right.
shoot guns in the country.
Right?
That shit's dope.
Yes.
But on a busy schedule in the industry, because the industry is, especially nowadays, and I'm gonna ask you, the comparison of now to back then.
Yeah.
But nowadays you have to constantly keep putting content, which goes back to what you said. In social media, you have to constantly be on your phone because if you go missing for a week, people forget about you.
Yeah.
Quick. What has been like the biggest difference in the industry for you from back then when you had your songs on the radio,
Yeah.
Powder with Salty Water, Powder with Dope House, to now?
A lot, but I would say being able to sell CDs and radio play is the biggest difference. Like getting radio play was easy back then. We had DJs that were willing to show us love, that were down for the local movement, You don't have that anymore. That is
Yeah.
gone. Like there is no DJs just like showing love in Houston to the local movement, period. There was back then. And then being able to go anywhere and just sell your CDs. Like nobody's trying to buy a CD. Everything's free. You can stream anything you want. That was our bread and butter. I mean, I didn't get a lot of it, but that was the bread and butter to be able to sell a CD. Can't even do that.
Face-to-face sales.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah.
Like, and that was the only way you were going to get that music is if you bought that CD. You weren't going to get it anywhere else. So that is gone. That whole revenue is gone.
This thing has messed a lot of that up.
It really has, man.
So going back to your disappearance, what sparked that interest to say, I'm bringing Powda back? Let's make this happen.
Powda has tried to come back several times. Like, okay, so around 2008, I came out with my Flow mixtape, which nobody really knows about because it wasn't very promoted well because I didn't know what I was doing. But I came out with a little mixtape in 2008 just because I had that itch again. I wanted to do something, had to get it out. I got a studio at my house. Like I was just recording for myself just to have fun, just to do it. That was short-lived because I realized I didn't know what I was doing and I really didn't have a good team to help me. So then I kind of went back to my little normal life. And then
my little normal life.
And then 2013, I actually hooked back up with Pancho V, which is insane because what was I thinking, right? But I tried, and he actually did try to do things different that time. He realized what he had done in the past, and he was like, "I want to make it right. Like let's do it right this time." But he was trying to lock me down for just too many albums, like 3 album. He was only willing to do a 3-album deal, and I only wanted to do 1.
Yeah.
So we could not make that agreement. I just refused. I wasn't going to do 3. He wasn't going to do 1. So then we parted ways again. So I got to the point where I was like, okay, this is not working. This must not be for me. So then I just got back to my normal life. But this most recently, I think, was getting the Legend Award. When I got the Legend Award, they asked me to perform. And I performed that night. And just the reaction that I got from everybody, they were just like, it's like you never left. Oh, my God, you're so good. Like, and I haven't done this in 10, 20 years.
Yeah.
And people were just like, you're amazing, So it was kind of like, wow. Should I really let that go, And then Never Die hits me up and he's like, what's up? I see, I guess saw that I was getting, and he was like, I see what you're doing. You want to do a feature. And I was like, what? That might be fun. Cause here at this point now I'm like a stay-at-home mom with 2 kids, like really just living the most boring life ever. And I was like, that might be fun. That sounds like fun. I'll do it. And as soon as I got back in and did that feature, that's when it all came back.
Yeah. Damn it, Never Die.
Damn it, Never Die.
She wanted to have the simple life, Never Die.
My life was so great. My life was so great. Like I had it made. Like I could work from home. My husband like has a good job. We have a nice house, and I'm like 2 little beautiful little daughters, and it was, it's a great life. So.
Yeah. So you come back. You join the New Wave clique. What was the reason behind you? Like, let me join New Wave and see what was the reason behind that, and what can we expect from you in New Wave here in the upcoming future?
That night that I went to the studio with Never Die, I recorded the song, and after I was done, I was about to head out. I was like, all right, cool, appreciate it, I'm out. And I was about to leave, and G-Love stopped me, and she was like, hey, no, I'm about to record something, stay, chill. I'm like, okay. Fuck it, I'll see what's up. So I just hung out and I watched G-Love record, and oh my God, the energy of that girl. Like it is just, it's a force. You know what I mean? And you've seen G-Love perform. Yeah. It's a force. And just to watch her, I was blown away. I was amazed. And we all just kind of sat around talking that night. Never Die, G-Love, Animes was there, and Manic. And we are all just vibing and talking. And I started talking about like songs that I had that had never came out that I still wanted to do. And there was just this tangible vibe in the room that was unmistakable. We all felt it. And we were all just like, wow, what would it be like to be able to work with people like this that all have the same mindset? That night I went home and I was just like buzzing with energy because it was so exciting to me to be back in it and to be around people that were doing it, And I can't even explain it. I wrote something that I feel like was not me writing. That night, that same very night, something just came out of me. It was the longest verse I ever wrote. It's 2 verses, no hook. Like it's just the longest verse I ever wrote about probably the best shit I've ever wrote about. And I hit Never Die up the next day and I was like, look at this, what I wrote last night, like after I hung with y'all. And he was like, man, that's how you know. Like, that's how you know. And then Manic offered to do the album with me.
Yeah.
So then it just came together.
Let's talk about this new album.
Yes.
You're not going to hold it on us, right? You're actually going to release this
yes.
one, right? No, so this new album, what's it titled and what can we expect from this new album?
The new album is titled The Queen is Back.
The Queen is Back. Okay.
Queen is Back, yes. It was hard for me to name it that, but Never Die insisted. Never Die has been saying The Queen is Back ever since I walked into the studio that day. That's the first thing he said, and he has been saying it to me every day since. Yeah. Like, I'm not even kidding, every day since. So, yeah, The Queen is Back. And what you can expect from this album is... I can't even explain it. How did I get better and I didn't do it? I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how I got better because I was not in practice. I was not practicing rapping. I was not writing. I was not doing anything. But somehow... This
is one of them things when people say you're just born with it. You know what I'm saying?
Somehow I got better. I don't know how. A lot more lyrical. The lyrics are a lot harder. The delivery is a lot harder. The hooks are just as catchy. You know, Powder's known for the catchy hooks. The hooks are just as catchy. But you can expect a lot of dope from this one, man. I've got a lot of good features. I've got Animes, G-Love, Crystal Poppin'.
Shouts out.
Yeah, shouts out KP. My girl, Crystal Poppin' blessed me with a video the other day, too.
Our girl.
My girl. No, I'm kidding. Cuban Diva is on this one too. Manic's on it. Never Die's on it. So it's a really good album. And there's a lot of like 90s, early 2000s references in it too.
Gotcha. Okay, so giving us
giving
fans something we didn't get, you know what I'm saying? Something we missed out on from the previous releases. Yeah. You recently had a video premiere with Low G. Bang Bang is the name of the track. Is this a track that's also on the album?
Yes. That's my first single, Bang Bang. And it's featuring Low G's on the bridge. A lot of people were like, where's Low G's verse? He's on the bridge. You can't, I guess it doesn't really sound like him because we kind of screwed his voice a little bit, but it is Low G on the bridge. But yeah, that's the first single of the album. And I really think it's like a Dirty South anthem, man. It's just got that feel. Like, I need to hear it in the slab. I ain't heard it in the slab yet. I need to hear it like banging in the slab for real. But yeah, it's pretty dope. It's pretty fire.
So that just came out.
Yeah.
Do we have a release date for the project?
Well, I'm just kind of like, I guess we should come up with a concrete date, but I'm doing singles for a while, just trying to build back up my audience because that's the thing people don't realize. I am starting from zero because of the way that things are now. I don't have a following really on social media because I just got back into social media like 6 months ago. You know what I mean? So right now I'm trying to build back up my following and I'm trying to find all those old fans like, hey, you remember Powder? Come back, come see what I got going on right now. So I'm trying to release singles to give me that hype. To release the whole album. But I would say within the next probably 2 months, it'll be out.
Okay, cool. So we're looking about end of the year, November and October. October. We're in August, September, October. Okay.
Because I'm going to do at least maybe 2 more singles. So that's at least another month before. Yeah.
Obviously, the name of the project is The Queen is Back.
Yes.
It was cool to see Crystal Poppin say that last night as well on her music when she was doing the music video. Yeah. But what is that like to get, the respect from, like Never Die being the older generation? Not calling you old. I'm just saying, in comparison to like Crystal Poppin and have Crystal Poppin and get that support from your peers, like you are the queen, you are back. Like, what is that like on a personal level to be able to get that support?
It has been such a blessing. I mean, such a blessing and just insane. And I'm just really humbled by it. Like, I can't believe it. And Never Die always tells me I'm too humble, but I don't feel like I deserve it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just kind of like, thanks, like I can't explain it, but I've never seen myself that way. It was very hard for me to even name the album that because I am very humble and I don't see myself in that light. But to see people like that, like Bash told me last night too, like I was killing it. And this is coming from a guy that's been killing it for 20 years constantly. He's like, yeah, you're killing it, Powder. That's good, and to hear people like Crystal and, I even had Tommy G call me this morning and tell me, that I was killing it. So it's been a dope experience and very validating. And it makes me feel like I'm doing the right thing. I'm finally on the right track.
Yeah. Speaking of reconnecting, you do have a podcast coming out.
Yes.
And I said reconnecting because I feel like we're going to get a lot of stories from, your old label mates and whatnot. What is the podcast called and what can we expect from this podcast and release date on it and whatnot?
The podcast is called The Powder Room. And I really stop it.
That's the first thing that came to mind.
See, and the first thing that comes to my mind is like girls like doing their makeup in the powder room,
That
like
makes more sense.
and gossiping. That's what it makes me think of. But okay, we see where your mind is.
That's the first thing that came to mind. But okay.
But I want this podcast to be different. Nothing against this that you come to the same room, but I want it
Get
to
out
be
now.
I want it to be kind of mobile.
Yeah.
I want it to be wherever the event is.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. And so far, I have not done one spot the same. I've done 4 different spots. The 4 episodes I have been 4 different spots. And I just want to keep it fresh like that. I want to go places. I want to go to shows and interview people, or get in the studio with an artist and interview them in the studio that they're at. Or, go to a business and interview the business owner. I want to take it just out and about.
Yeah. And as far as the content, there is some episodes that you've already recorded.
Yes.
When can we expect the first release from the podcast?
The first release will be after the album comes out, because I wanted to, again, gain an audience for the podcast. So after the album creates enough buzz, then I'll release the podcast. So within a couple months.
Couple of months as well.
Yeah.
So you're. This goes back to what we said. The normal, basic life.
Yeah.
And back in the game, you're gonna be busy. You got working on the project, working on the podcast. Especially once you drop the podcast, that's gonna get more hectic because people are gonna expect like a weekly drop.
Yes.
What else are you working on that people can expect as far as in the industry?
Well, really, that besides the album, the podcast, and merch, I'm trying to work on building up my merchandise. Right now, I have T-shirts and hats, but I really want to work on gaining more, getting more merchandise to sell, because obviously everybody knows that's where it's at. You know?
For sure. And getting back on social media, I know you say you're not a big fan of social media, but I mean, especially TikTok. TikTok, it's like a completely different beast.
Yeah,
but it does take up a lot of your time to be able to be on there and constantly engaging and whatnot.
Yes,
and especially it's got to be hard now finding that balance. Like you say, you are married. You have 2 kids.
Mm-hmm.
In the last 6 months, how has that been finding that balance?
My poor husband.
Shouts out to the husband.
For real. Like, man, he's my hero. He has really stepped up. He's very supportive. He wants to see me make it. He wants to see me live out my dream. He wants me to be happy. He saw that I wasn't happy, and he's like, if this makes you happy, like, I'm all for it. Let's do it. So he's with the kids by himself a lot, and it's hard, but we make it work. We're making it work.
Yeah. One of like the biggest differences for me, I would think, when it comes to doing the shows and whatnot, back then, I don't know how y'all did it back then, but you knew when you had a show, people were gonna show up.
Oh.
Now it's so hard to transition your followers into that.
Yes.
How has that experience been like for you to see that difference in how it used to be back then when? Well, first, let me ask this. What was it like performing back then at the car shows and stuff? Because I remember seeing the videos, and obviously the videos were years after, but seeing the crowds at the car shows, what was that like? And how are we adjusting to today's where people are more shy out to go to events? Because it seems like everybody's an artist and they don't want to show love or whatever.
Well, that's one of the things that I really don't like about the game now, is it's very oversaturated. Like, and I've heard Nicki Minaj talk about this too. It's like back then you had to have talent to be big and to get people to come out to see you. And now that really is not the case. Because we had so much radio play, we knew our shows were going to be packed. It was no question. No matter where we went, we knew car shows were going to be packed. Like the Carmona car shows, I think the biggest crowd we performed for was like 30,000 people. Like, like Carmona car shows were huge, back then, and you knew everybody was going to come out, but it had a lot to do with that was the only way you were going to see it. Yeah. You couldn't see it online. Now online is just taking all that personal stuff away. You don't have to go see somebody. You can watch them online. I really don't like it. And I even told Never Die, I kind of want to start doing like virtual performances or something, because nobody's really coming out. Yeah, when you perform places.
And I'll I'll tell you more about what you just said, virtual performances off air.
Yeah.
It's something that I'm currently working on, but I'll let y'all know more about it because, you'll never know who's watching.
Yeah, it must be where it's going to be at.
It is.
Yeah.
And I'm getting these ideas from other genres, but like I said, we'll discuss that. What has been the biggest lesson you've learned
Royalties.
throughout your royalties?
I didn't even let you finish, right? Royalties.
Yeah.
That's the biggest lesson. I knew nothing about royalties when I got into this business. Nothing. Nobody mentioned them to me. Nobody told me about them. I knew nothing about signing up with ASCAP, BMI, none of that when I was with Salty Water. And they kept me in the dark about it. They did not tell me about it, obviously for a reason. They didn't want me to know about it. Even when I got with Dope House, though, Dope House did get me a lawyer, and the lawyer signed me up with ASCAP. But they really never offered to, like, when you did a song with them, they kind of just paid you up front, and they kept everything. So it was like, and you're a struggling artist. So if you offer me $1,000 to do a hook, I'm going to take it.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Like, royalty, what? You don't care about that because you're a starving artist,
Yeah.
But now I realize how important it is, because I can't imagine if I had done that, how much I would have made over the years.
Yeah. Even after you disappeared,
I would have kept making money.
Yeah.
So royalties.
It's sad, man. It's sad because like you said, they keep you in the dark for these things, and it's sad as a fan because, again, we didn't have social media. We didn't hear none of these stories. We didn't see anything behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And to hear the stories later on, what happened behind closed doors, I guess you can say, or behind the scenes, it sucks. It sucks because life could be a lot different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we know the impact, Nasty Girl, Make It Hot, all those songs had back then.
Yeah. And
you go onto the YouTube, and there's so many people that are on YouTube that have uploaded this song, and it has hundreds of thousands of views.
Yeah, and I get none of that.
And you get nothing.
And I think Pancho even took my name off of Make It Hot. My name is not even on it.
Yeah.
It just says Pancho V, Make It Hot.
Yeah.
Yeah. My name ain't even on it anymore.
I know I kind of went down the list of everything I was going to ask, but this just popped in my head.
Yeah.
And again, we can always edit this out.
Yeah.
But what's the relationship like now with Salty Water and Dope House and yourself?
Me and Dope House are still on very good terms. They, in my eyes, they really didn't do much wrong. You know what I mean? Of course, offering the artist royalties would have been nice, but in my eyes, I don't feel like it was their fault what happened. You know what I mean? They tried to treat me right, and they tried to give me the respect that I deserve. So me and Dope House, I anywhere I go, you'll hear me screaming Dope House for life, because I feel like I will always be a part of Dope House. You know what I mean? I didn't leave necessarily.
Yeah.
I just kind of stepped away. So me and Dope House are still on good terms, and I will support anything they do. They support everything I do. They share my stuff all the time. Salty Water, the relationship really is non-existent with Pancho V. Me and Tommy are really cool. Like I said, he just called me today. We had a conversation about everything going on, and we're going to be doing a show with Jessica Jeans at the in middle of September. Me and Tommy
15th.
will actually be performing together.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
Is it for the women's empowerment?
Yeah, but it's men now too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's putting men on there too.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, September 15th.
Yeah.
September 15th. If you have nothing to do, you probably shouldn't have nothing to do. It's on a Saturday. No, it's a Friday. Friday night. Make sure you guys pull up to that.
Yeah.
If you haven't done so, make sure you follow us on social media pages at the JVaz Show, and especially on Instagram. Every time we have an artist, we ask you guys to send us your questions, and that way we can ask, any questions that I might have missed and you guys might be interested in. We're gonna let's take it to Instagram first. One of the questions is, you and Carolyn Rodriguez still going to make a tape together?
Oh, we are going to definitely do a record together. The Queens of Dope, we started on that, and that was kind of like when I left, when I stopped doing music, was kind of in the middle of that, so we never finished the Queens of Dope. But we already talked, and we're definitely going to be doing a song together soon.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So hopefully we get the project too.
Yeah.
That'll be hella dope. Will you be working with Dope House?
Absolutely. I already have been working with Dope House artists. I have like Lil G and Rashid on little features so far, and I'm trying to work with Gotti. I'm trying to get Gotti on something right now. So absolutely. And, am open. Like I said, Dope House for life, baby. I am open to working with everybody from Dope House, no matter what.
Yeah, shouts out to Dope House. I've worked very little with Dope House, but they've always been cool with the little work that I've done with them.
Yeah.
What's the difference between Galveston and Houston?
Oh, everything.
It's a personal question.
Everything. Galveston is like, I mean, growing up in Galveston, I think that's why I'm such a party girl, because Galveston is like a party town. It's small, but, you know, we have Kappa, Mardi Gras, the beach. It's a party. It's always a party. Like, that's just what Galveston is. It's a party town. So I feel like Galveston kind of made me like that party girl that I am. But it is a small town. Everybody that you know has hooked up with everybody. Like, you know, you can't kind of get away from that. But with Houston, it's just so big. Like, Houston makes you feel like the world is so much bigger than just that island.
Yeah. Houston's a completely different beast.
It is.
I wanted to live in Houston until I didn't. I lived in Houston for like a year, then I moved. I was like, nah, this ain't for me.
I can't live here. No. No. But I love it here.
Who were your influences growing up?
I was a big fan of like the whole Coming Down era was my shit. Lil Kiki and DJ Screw. I love UGK. I feel like sometimes when I'm rapping, I feel like I sound like Pimp C. I ain't even gonna lie.
Yeah.
UGK was a big influence for me. And like Tupac, of course, Missy Elliott, Busta Rhymes. That was like, that was all my shit.
One last question here. We're gonna take this one from Instagram. What motivates you to go hard every day?
What motivates me to go hard every day? I guess my kids now. Before I didn't really have much motivation. So now I would say my kids, they're too young to know what I'm doing right now, but they see little bits and pieces of it. And I can tell that they're proud, but they don't really know how to express it. You know what I mean? So right now, just I really want to put something out there that later on they can look back and be like, damn, my mom was the shit.
Yeah. Look at mom. Like, look at mom.
Yeah, my mom was the shit, man. Yeah, that's what I want.
Yeah, so those are our questions on social media. Again, make sure you guys follow us on social media at the JVaz Show. Send us your questions and anything we might have missed. A lot of the questions that I had actually already asked.
Okay.
So sorry if we didn't get to them, but you know we'll get to them next time. Follow us, send us the questions, and we'll get to them. Well, I mean, selfishly, this was dope. You know what I'm saying? Like as I mentioned when we first started recording, it's a lot of stuff that as a fan I wanted to know.
Yeah.
I'm a fan first, so that's always cool to be able to sit down, as I mentioned earlier. Thank you for your time, for making time for us to be able to sit down, but we need to get your following back up.
Yes.
So where can people find you on social media?
Social media, Instagram is Powda409, as well as my YouTube and TikTok. They're all Powda409. And then Facebook is just Powda. But for some reason, when you just search it, I don't know, it's hard to come up.
Yeah.
But I do have a Powda page on Facebook as well.
So make sure you guys hit her up on all these social media platforms. We'll have the links on the description of the video, description of the podcast. Powda Room, the podcast, coming soon. The Queen is back. The album is also coming soon. Bang Bang is now available on all streaming services. Make sure you guys run that up as well. And once again, selfishly, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sitting down with us today.
Thank you.
Us, like there's a lot of people here, but you get it. Thank you for sitting down with me today, and I do appreciate your time. And I hope we get a lot of new music here, not just this project, but a lot more music after that.
Thank you.
And this was real cool as a fan. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you haven't done so, make sure you follow her on all social media pages. Once again, I am JVaz, and you're watching Texas Underground. Let's go.